Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. The Drone Pilot Association of Canada's Steering Committee held our quarterly meeting with Transport Canada on October the 24th. Let me summarize the topics and discussions we had. Our regular quarterly meeting covered the following topics: an update on the proposed changes to the regulations, an update on the aviation radio debacle, a general discussion about the DPAC safety course, a brief chat about the latest AIM updates, and an issue with the Mini 4 listing. We closed with a topic not on the original agenda, flying over national parks. Jeremy Fountain, Mark Vanderregen, and Tom Hasty were on the call for the Transport Canada RPAS team, and Mike Hill, Nick Seymour, Steve Bannister, Steve Bogner, and myself represented DPAC. The meeting lasted about an hour, but hopefully I can summarize the discussion in a little less than that. The first topic was the status of the new regulations. Well, they seem to be on track to an activation date of April 2025. Comments on the announced changes closed on September 22nd, a little over a month ago, and I was pleased to hear that the comments are now actually available publicly. Everyone's comments are available for review, which is a great step forward in transparency. Comments submitted by individuals do not show the submitter's name, but comments from organizations, such as DPAC, are actually attributed to the submitting organization. Here's a breakdown of the number of comments per section, with a total of 311 overall. Keep in mind that this count includes one-liners as well as full position papers, such as DPAC's, which was 8 pages long. There's a link in the description below this video to the ORC's website where you can review the comments yourself. Now, I haven't read through all the comments, but I did skim through a few of the sections just out of curiosity. A couple of observations, far from scientific, just for what it's worth. I did notice a large number of comments from RC aircraft folks, which is great. Also, the fire departments submitted many detailed comments. Now, in terms of topics, I noted quite a few comments disputing the need for the extended VLOS spotter to hold their advanced pilot certification. Overall, from the ones I read at least, the comments were constructive, specific, and actionable. All good. Incidentally, TC did mention there were a small number of comments that were excluded due to profanity or due to breaking some other clearly stated rule for submitting comments. One related remark from Jeremy Fountain referenced a complaint I had made in a video about not being allowed to use binoculars when spotting. His interpretation was quite refreshing, that drone pilots and visual observers do need to see the drone with unaided vision, but that statement doesn't rule out using binoculars or other aids from time to time to help with the task of situational awareness. For example, if you see a speck in the sky approaching your drone, it could be a bird or it could be a distant aircraft approaching. A quick look with binoculars is permitted to sort out that sort of thing. And that's a cool way to interpret the rule. In terms of next steps, Transport Canada indicated that they will be publishing a What We Heard document once they've sifted through the submissions and discussions that took place at the Q&A sessions. After that, the final regulations, hopefully updated to take into account our feedback, are expected to be announced in late 2024, with part of them taking effect immediately and the rest kicking in by April of 2025. The second topic at our meeting was an update on the aviation radio issue. This issue has been open since July of 2022, when an RPAS pilot attempted to follow the correct ISED procedure to secure a base station license for their handheld transceiver, and they were refused the license. In the 15 months since then, Transport Canada, NAV Canada, and ISED have been trying to reach an agreement on how to ensure drone pilots with handheld units like this won't cause troubles for manned aviation. The latest proposal on the table, as I understand it, will be to start allowing a small number of drone pilots to use transceivers and monitor how it goes. In the meantime, unless you're part of one of these approved trials, RPAS pilots with transceivers are not permitted to talk on aviation frequencies. Scanners are okay. Obviously, if there's an emergency and an accident is imminent, you should do whatever it takes to raise an alert, even if this means using an aviation radio. I really hope this topic gets closed soon. We then touched upon the DPAC safety course, basically to encourage TC to consider it a better model than the current exams. Now, why is it better, you might ask? Well, the objective of our safety course is to help pilots learn about the regulations as well as safe RPA practices, rather than just testing. Secondly, the focus is on pertinent topics, not the broad range of knowledge in the current TC exams. And finally, we provide direct and immediate feedback so you know what you do and do not properly understand. Incidentally, 454 drone and RC aircraft pilots have completed the course in its first 5 weeks of availability. Now, if you haven't already done the course, there's a link in the description below. The next agenda topic was a quick one. TC confirmed that the error I spotted in the October 2023 version of the AIM was indeed a slip-up, and it will be corrected in the next edition. And they're considering changes in their update and review process to prevent this kind of problem going forward. Now, Mike Hill made an excellent suggestion at the meeting that broadcasting corrections or clarifications like this could be done via TC's DonDronesOn newsletter, which would be much more timely than waiting for an AIM update that might not come for 6 months or even a year. The Mini 4 topic was also a quick one. Many of us noticed that the DJI Mini 4 Pro entry on the list of drones eligible for advanced operations is kind of odd, stating that it is a hybrid instead of a rotary wing, and seemingly not meeting the requirements for flying near people, unlike the Mini 3 listings. Now, this stuff is only applicable if your Mini 4 is over 250 grams due to the Plus battery or due to some other payload that you might be flying with. And it's only applicable if you're flying an advanced operation. Now, this error in the listings could be because of a mistake that DJI made when they submitted their self-declaration, or it could be a clerical error by TC when creating the listing itself. TC's looking into it. As of the time of this recording, October 31st, it has not yet been fixed. We closed the meeting with an interesting discussion about flying over national parks. We asked TC for a proper interpretation of the regulations here. The reason is that for every other speck of land in Canada, the landowner has no jurisdiction over the airspace, only the use of their actual ground area. But the airspace over national parks has always been treated as being no-fly zones, even if you start outside the park. But where is this stated in the regulations? It's not in the Part 9 RPAS section of the CARS, nor in the RPA chapter of the AIM. The only place in the overall AIM that I can find that touches on this topic is in the RAC, Rules of the Air chapter, in the 1.10 conservation section, and in particular the 1.10.3 subsection that I've shown here. In this section, it actually says aircraft shouldn't fly below 2,000 feet AGL over any park or wildlife reserve or refuge, especially those marked on aeronautical charts. Now, please note that it says should, not must, so this restriction is not mandatory. But the bigger question is whether it applies to drones at all. Yeah, I know. They sometimes pull out the drones or aircraft, so this rule applies to drones too card. But does it really apply here? Very unclear. And something I learned is that the aviation regulations themselves, the CARS, have been annotated in a number of places to specifically say this subpart does not apply in respect of remotely piloted aircraft. Unfortunately, that same annotation hasn't been carried over to the non-RPAS parts of the AIM document. It's only in the cars. So I asked TC if they could clarify this whole issue of flying over national parks. Do the cars apply? Do conservation guidelines apply? How far does this go? Does it apply to minis? Now, don't get me wrong. I am not advocating for people flying their drones over national parks or for the right to bother wildlife. I would just like to see a consistent interpretation that we can all refer to. So there we have it, a quick update on the discussion we had with Transport Canada in our regular quarterly meeting. These meetings are really good, frank, open discussions focused on trying to do the best for the drone community. If you haven't already joined the Drone Pilot Association of Canada, please consider doing so at our cleverly named website, dronepilot.associationofcanada.com. Thanks for watching. Safe and happy flying.